back, guys, to the good, bad, and ugly of the situation over at Ashland North. So as many of you know, that parking lot was closed a few months ago, and in a few emails to Fro, it seems like they are working on something else, but in no real hurry to do so. So we took this trip to Ashland North today from Locust Gap, so it is quite a haul to get there. And we start off here just off the parking lot where we normally do to get into a lot of the single and a lot of the trail systems kind of beyond that. So as we go along here, we'll assess what is good about Ashland North still, what is bad, and what is just downright ugly. We'll kick things off here with something in the good column, and that is single still exists. Very soon, though, we'll be adding to the bad and ugly columns as well. First up for the bad side of things is the single that is here is obstructed, and I know trees fall down sometimes, but you'll see that again a little bit later as well with a tree down where Matty gets stuck and rips his skid plate off. So not a huge deal, but a lot of the stuff that is still here has something across it that does make it a little more difficult. And it does seem that a lot of that stuff is clothesline height, where it's not really something you can jump over or just ride over. Now it's time for the ugly stuff. So the single that was here is a haul road now, and this entire area has basically been logged to shit. If you're familiar with what it looked like before, we had a hard time finding where we were because of how unrecognizable everything is. Very similar to the far east side of Darkwater, closer to Vomit Hill. That's now been all logged out. But we continue in search of something that we know is in the area, and we find the side hill where I was just talking about Matty ripping his skid plate off. So we'll head over to there and see if anything over there still exists. While Matty continues to get himself stuck and even more stuck and shoot shit back in my face, I decide to go up a hill, sideways, on a hill, and I was really impressed that it actually went up. I didn't think that was going to happen, and continue to the top, and then just as I get to the top, yet another clothesline tree right across a trail. Since all that section is a small hill to take you up to the next actual section, we double around it and continue on.
Just a terrible place to start this.
By complete accident, we end up at the end of the section that we were looking for earlier in the video coming the other way, and I've never been able to make this second hill coming this way, and today was absolutely no different. It doesn't look really that hard, but there's no way to generate any sort of speed up to it, and it's a very loamy, rocky hill underneath all that. Before we go live with the map, we'll get a final tally of things here because they are not all tied at 1. So as far as good things go, there is single that still exists, but it doesn't quite connect and isn't quite as flowy as it used to be. There is opportunity to cut some new things as well, more on the west side of Ashland North, closer to Locust Gap, and there was actually a new section cut there, but it was very hard to follow. I'll circle that on the map once we get there. It is a lot easier of a trip from Locust Gap than it used to be. Things are very clearly marked, very similar to the Minersville 901 route out at Darkwater. Moving along to the bad, the existing single is obstructed by trees just about neck height or is otherwise inaccessible. It is very far away, so it's about 6.5 miles by car from Locust Gap parking lot to Ashland North parking lot, and there are limited existing trails for bikes. And finally, the ugly. So a lot of the single has been completely logged out, and there are just haul roads littered with tree parts and trunks and everything you could possibly imagine, and is basically unrecognizable. So the Ashland North that we've all known for the last several years is pretty much gone. If you add up, I would say the bad and the ugly things, they far outweigh the good, especially with how far away it is from the Locust Gap parking lot to access all that stuff. But if a trip is still something you wanted to do, we'll go over to the map and I'll show you which way we took. We'll start by zooming in on Locust Gap's parking lot, and hopefully you can follow the mouse. I don't have a drawing tool on this video editor, but we head out the back of the parking lot and then cross over 54, From there, work your way to the bottom double because you have to get there eventually. So if you start there, it's just easier to follow that way. So work your way to that lower double and then cross over the intersection here at 54,901. Just be on the lookout for cars making turns there because they will get you. And then just sort of parallel 54. There is a double there. Can't see 54 from that section until you get out to about here where you're more or less riding on the shoulder, but you are still kind of in the trail system a little bit. And then once you cross the railroad tracks in this area, you want to just sort of work your way up and get above those houses and things. And then just about in this area, you'll probably start to see signs for designated trail, similar to the signs that you see at the 901 route at Darkwater. And up this way, make that right, and then you will parallel a haul road in a mining location. There's a bunch of logs there to keep you from going, where you're not supposed to go. And then from here, you're on the other side of 61 and Snake Road, where basically the west end of Ashland North typically ended. Now once you get into this area, there is a new single pink ribbon that I mentioned earlier. It was very hard to follow, it was very tight, and it just seemed like we were crossing over on ourselves over and over again, so that is not part of this video, but there's the old Ashland North parking lot, and this video began right in this area here, heading up, and what you'll see in this video, we went about as far east as that right there. This will conclude the good, bad, and ugly of the situation over at Ashland North. It definitely seems that Fro has geared this more towards ATVs, side-by-sides, or at least large groups of dirt bikes. Otherwise, it kind of feels like wasted seat time. So if you were planning a trip, I hope this helps you make an educated decision, at least, based on what we found. And while we were worried about some of the single being overgrown, that kind of got put to rest because it simply doesn't exist anymore. So thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.